Hey guys, I'm just going to go over a week 4 InDesign activity just so that you guys can kind of recap if you didn't have didn't know some of the answers from last time. And I do apologize. I didn't give you all of the photos that you needed for some parts of the assignment, and I'll show you where that is when we get to it. But if you look at D2L right under the video that you clicked on for what you're watching right now, right under there, there's a link to download an images folder, and that will help you out and give you the rest of the images. All right, so sorry about that, but let's get started. So what's the purpose of a document preset? A document preset's created to save document settings that can be easily accessed and used for future designs. So rather than going to File, New, and creating a new document and then having to set in all of your different settings every single time here in your dialog box, you could just go to your drop-down menu and select what you want. For instance, I have newsletter saved, so I can just click that and all of my settings change. And then I can just click OK, and I'm free to design from there. So that's the purpose of a document preset. What does it mean to have facing pages? When you go to your document setup, or even when you're creating a new document, you can see facing pages is a checking option in your dialog box. And what that means, and I can show it to you right here in your pages panel, is that the pages are set up in a spread. So you can see there's a left page and a right page. It's like a book. So that's what facing pages are. So let's go ahead and check those off. I know that's one thing you guys have to do. So then it puts them in a row like this. What is document bleed and why is it used? I've gone over this a bunch of times. Document bleed is a printing term that's used to describe a document which has images or elements that touch the edge of the page, extending beyond the trim edge and leaving no white margin. So currently our document has no trim, or I'm sorry, has no bleed. But we know that once we're done, if we were to print and cut this out, we would know we want to cut along the edge of the document. That's where we would trim it. It's basically our trim line. And anything that would extend out beyond that is our bleed. So let's see, we'll go into document setup and we'll put a 0.125 inch bleed and click OK. And when you go into your preview mode, you can see here the red line, and that would be your bleed. So you would want to extend all of your images to that line. What are margins? In typography, a margin is the area between the main content of the page and the page edges. It defines where the lines of text begin and end. When a page is justified, the text is spread out to be flush with the left and right margins. Right now, if I just deselect, let's see, the margins on this page, which we're kind of ignoring, are actually these pink and purple lines. For the purpose of for this document, I could have just taken the margins off. I didn't really need them. But say you were making a poster or something. You would want this space from the edge of your document, your trim line. You want a little space there, and you want to keep most of your content within here. Your background would clearly extend, but maybe your text and more of your visual elements would be inside. What are guides and how can you create them? Guides are specifically placed lines that can be hidden in a document but are made visible to use when aligning objects to exact locations in a document. For instance, the margin lines here that you see, these pink and purple lines, those are technically guides. They guide the placement of your objects and help you when you're aligning them. If you're creating guides on your own, you would create them from pulling down from the ruler, and you would create a guide. So it says create a guide in the space below, and I'm just pulling it down. And then when I deselect, you see it. They are typically this blue color. I think you could probably change that in your preferences, but typically they are blue, and you can get rid of them by going into the preview, or I'm sorry, yeah, the preview mode, and that sort of hides all of your guides. So what is a serif and what does the word mean? A serif is a slight projection finishing off a stroke of a letter in certain typefaces. So that answer was there a little bit. What does sans serif translate to? Whoops. Without a serif. So you can see this font here is in a serif font because you see these little characters at the end of the letters here. So I'll just zoom in, and it would be like these little edges. This is like a serif font. You can see it mostly on the P, the F, so you know that it's a serif font. In the space below, you're going to type graphic in a serif font and design in a sans serif font. And obviously, you would have a little bit more creativity than me. Let's see, I'll just go with the first one. Center align it. And then I'm going to go to type, create outlines. Now it's a vector, and I'm going to scale it to be proportion with this area. And I'm going to ungroup it. And okay. And then I can select just this, and I can change the color. Okay. And there we go. What are the pros and cons of creating outlines for text? Well, first of all, the pros would be then you're able to manipulate the shape because it's a vector. Now it's a shape and you can manipulate it however you want. So say you needed to adjust certain things, it's helpful for that. It's helpful if you don't want to load your fonts onto another computer. So say you chose this font and it's part of your design and you want to go open your design on your friend's computer, you would then need to download the font, save it, and then install it on your friend's computer. So then when you open up your design, you see it. Creating outlines makes this a shape, so you don't need the font file anymore. Some cons would be that once you do it, there's really no going back from it. So if you ever want to edit the text ever again, or say you want to write designs, you could pull this S over, but you can't ever type more unless you had that font again. I'm not going to type all that out. Okay, we're going to adjust the leading. So we're just going to Control A for everything, and then we'll make it maybe, okay, we're making it 17. Adjust the tracking of this sentence. Tracking is here. I'm just going to make it 0. Kerning. Not all of the spaces between are going to be 0. That's sort of a trick here. But maybe we could start out by making this 0, and this would be the kerning. And then we could go back in, so they're all at 0, but maybe we'll tighten them up a little bit. Like this one could be brought in maybe a little here and there. Something to that effect. Adjust the rag of the paragraphs using the Enter key or by adjusting the tracking of the lines. Oh yes, this is a tip. Don't go above 20 units when adjusting tracking. Okay, so you're going to basically, it's like that ragtime game, if you played that. That was one of the games that I put a link to on D2L. So maybe I'll just delete some of these, and I don't really want any hyphenated words particularly. And maybe I'll enter here. And then I'll kind of maybe highlight this and increase it. Maybe I'll do it 5. Maybe I'll do this one 5 too. And then this one can be done 5 as well. And you can see on the edge of that paragraph then how it became more smooth along the side. And that's just a visual thing. When you have large bodies of text, you want them to look smooth and nice rather than ragged. You could see that even by me just adjusting that, it made it so much easier on the eyes. And you know, a lot of people like to take off the hyphenation. This is an intentional hyphenation. I don't know if I can put that on the other line, but I'm going to. And make this maybe like 10. I mean, you could do whatever you want. This is just what I would do. And you should be good. So then we're going to copy and paste into 3 columns of text. So I'm going to click T on my keyboard to grab that. Maybe I'll hit the W key so that I can see my guides, and I'm just going to paste. And then I can create another one that's just as big. Oops, got to draw it out. And a way to make sure that they're all the same size, because see, these are all different sizes. Oh, so I would pick one with, I'm going to round it off 2.5. And then just change them all. 2.5 and 2.5. And then I'll select them all. Oops. And I'm going to align to the margins so that I'm aligning to these purple margins here. And then I need to get more options here. Window, align. And boom. Okay. We're going to place image 1 here. So I'm going to click on the box and Command D or File Place, and then I'm going to grab image 1, put that in there. And maybe I'll go Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally. I'm going to open this in Photoshop, so you can go Edit With, Photoshop, and we'll wait for Photoshop to open. I'll skip to the next one. I'm going to place the Illustrator, Command D, place the Illustrator file in here, and fill the frame proportionally. Then I'm going to grab it and I'm going to adjust it. Whoops. There's Photoshop. Let me go back here. And I'm going to adjust it so that it's the top part that's showing rather than the middle. High quality display. Okay. Photoshop just opened. With that image, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White. Okay. Save. Control S and click OK. And then when I go back here, it will update and be black and white. Place the PNG file. And that's the floating cat. Remove the background. Place image 4 in the box and then move this over that. And then our last thing on this page is to fill the frames, and that was with, I think, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm just hitting Command D, that's the shortcut key, and filling them. And then I'm going to right click, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally, and then I'm going to change the fill color to none. And I'm going to have to create another video for this page. So there's going to be 2 videos. I can only do 15-minute increments, so I'll see you in the next couple minutes on video number 2.